viewers, and welcome to the 8th episode of our 10-in-1 video series entitled 100 Commonly Misused Words Used in WAEC, NECO, and JAMB Lexis and Structure. We shall now move forward, to our next set of words, which include, compose, consist / comprise. Our next set of words include compose, consist, comprise. Now, I want us to be very careful, I want us to be very attentive with the way we are going to be analyzing these words right now, because they are highly conflicting words in usage. Right. I think the conflict is coming from the fact that the three words mean the same thing. All right. Now, the three words can be used to describe the relationship between the parts of something to the whole of it. That is, relationship of parts to whole and or the relationship of whole to parts. All right? So the three words can always apply. Now, where is the conflict coming from? The conflict is coming from technical landmarks, all right, that go with the use of these words. The way you are going to use composed and become accepted, if you try to use consist that way, all right, you are not going to be accepted. Same thing applies to what? Comprise. So that is why I want us to pay a good attention, to the way we are going to be analyzing what we have in this table right now. Now let's start with the first word. The first word we have here is what? Compose. All right? What's the meaning of compose? Compose is used to say what something is made of. Fine. What about consist? What something is made of. What about comprise? What something is made of. All right. So you can see that we are in for a very serious conflict in usage. All right. Now let's try out the first one. Compose. It means what something is made of. Fine. No argument about that. But you must understand that these very words can only be used in the passive sense. It can never be used in active form. So that is the first landmark that affects this word. It can only be used as passive. So what I have here is something like the passive form of consist of, like I said, the same thing as made up of, or composed of, right? So it's the passive form. 2, it can never be used as active. It can never be used as active in English. All right? It's not going to be acceptable. All right? Then number 3 is that anytime you are using it as passive, it will take the form of be composed of. Be composed of. All right, let's look at a few examples on how to use the words and expressions. The first one says, this force would be composed of troops from NATO members. This force would be composed of troops from NATO members. Perfect. Look at the one in blue. Please take note that whatever you have in blue as far as this table is concerned, is incorrect. All right, it's unacceptable. But let me read it out. As for the first one under compose, we have something like this force composes of troops from NATO members. No, it's not acceptable. This force composes of troops from NATO members. So oftentimes you hear people saying things like that, in everyday English in our society. Oh, it is okay, things like it composes of, no, you cannot use it directly or as active. Alright, if you must use this word compose to express made up of, to express what something, okay, is made up of, then you are going to use it in passive form. Be composed of. Alright, now let's go to the next word. Alright, I hope you got a point there. Take good note of the fact that compose can only be used as passive. Then, moving on to the next word, consist, it will now take the sharp contrast of the explanation that we provided here. Okay, what are we trying to talk about? Consist is the active form of be composed of. Of course, I've already established that the three words mean the same thing. All right, so now, whereas composed, okay, that is be composed of, is the passive form of what something is made of, then consists. And if the way we use it in expression, like we are going to quickly go through now or see here, is always used as active in the form of what? Consist of. So consist of, all right, is the active way of saying what something is made of. In other words, if be composed of is passive, consists of is active. So you can use consist of in active form. What is active? Okay, if I say something like, I drove the car. I am the subject, driving is the verb, then the car is the object. So I coming before driving, or the drove, that is the verb in the expression, then you call that active voice. If I say the car was driven by me, when the object now comes before the verb, and then the subject comes after the verb, then you call that one passive. So that's what we are talking about. That's what we mean by passive and active. So compose is going to take the form of what? The car was driven by me. Whereas consist of will take the form of I drove the car. Now let's look at examples of expressions, okay, to illustrate consist. The first one says, this force consists of troops from NATO member. This force consists of troops from NATO members. Perfect. Let's quickly compare it to the correct form or correct usage of compose. Here we have, okay, this force would be composed of troops from NATO members. That's the passive form. Then the active form now goes to say, this force consists of troops from NATO members. Whereas this one is would be composed. This one is going ahead to say what it consists of. Alright? It consists. So this is active. The force consists of. But this is passive. The force would be composed of. So if you turn it around, it will take the form of NATO members, okay, would be composed of the force. Alright? So that is what we are saying. Right. So if that is very clear, let's now look at the wrong usage of consist. That is a situation where someone attempts to what? Or rather might attempt to use it in the passive form. So if you say something like, this force would be consisted of troops. No. This expression does not exist in English. So there's nothing like would be consistent. No. Consisted of does not exist, but rather we have consist of. Good. Then coming to the third word, which is what? Comprise. It also means what? To be what? Composed of or made up of. Like we said that the three words mean one and the same thing. Okay? However, there are two things or three, okay, that we must take very good note of. The first one is the fact that comprise is the formal word for consist of. Please take good note of that. So sometimes people are worried, okay, if all these words or these three words mean one and the same thing, so what's the need for the variations and the different forms of the word then? The need for the various forms of the words is that some of them can be formal, while some of them can be what? Informal. And like we said at the beginning of this explanation, that some of them can be used as passive, while some others can be used as active. I think we have already expressed that, okay? Now, when you say things like comprise, it is the formal word for consist of. That's number one. Then, number two, the word comprise does not require of. Please take note of that. So, whereas we can say things like consist of, we cannot say comprise of. No. Comprise does not require of. Then, there is one beautiful thing about this word, comprise. It can be used as active and as passive, although the passive form of it is debatable. That is, it's just in modern words, English. That's modern linguists are trying to develop the fact that this comprise can be used as passive. Okay, so that is why we have this asterisk there, that to use these words in the passive form is highly debatable. Okay, but the possibility is there. Now let's look at examples of how to use comprise in expressions. The first one says, the force comprises several troops from NATO members. Take note that the ones or the expressions that are in what blank ink, expressions that are in black ink are the correct expressions. Let's go through the three expressions and compare them very quickly. Okay, the first one says, this force would be composed of troops from NATO member. Take note, would be composed of, fine. Then if you remove be composed of, you're not going to say this force consists of troops from NATO members. Alright, so whereas this is passive, this one is active. But when you're not bringing in comprise, we say this force comprises several troops from what? NATO members. So when you say this force comprises of, then you are going to fall into errors. Okay, so there's nothing like comprises of in English. All right, so you can say that the three words mean the same thing but have different characteristics with their usage. Okay, then like the second way that we can use comprise, okay, which I have already explained, we said that the troop could be comprised of. The troop could be comprised of, okay? So this is a possibility, although highly debatable, that is to use comprise as passive. So this is how to use these words in English. Let's now take a step further, okay, by considering their appearance in past questions. JAMB 2020. This class dash students and teachers. A. Comprise. B. Comprises. C. Comprise of. D. Comprises of. Good. The correct answer, okay, to this question is option B, comprises. Alright? This class comprises students and teachers. Now, what is the reason for that? Like we said in the course of our explanation, comprise of does not exist in English. Of cannot be used with comprise. And then you also have comprises of. So these two have to go because of, okay, is attached to comprise in the options. Then we're now left with what? A and B, comprise and comprises. These two do not have of, so they can be considered. But in considering them, you have to look at the context of the question very closely. This class is singular. So since it is singular, remember they are verbs. So since they are verbs, when S is added, then the singular is implied. And when there is no S, then it means the verb is plural. So since the rules of Concord, okay, state that singular verb must agree with singular subject, this class, being a singular subject, will have to agree with singular verb comprises. So that is why the correct answer is this class comprises students and teachers. So B is the correct answer. So that is that on this set of words: compose, consist, and comprise. We shall now move forward to the next set of words on our list, which include prescribe/proscribe.